Welcome back to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that this video finds you well wherever you are. I'm also doing good and I thank God. It doesn't need rocket science to understand that the economic situation in Kenya today is very dire and very unbearable. Prices of basic commodities have really skyrocketed. It continues to give even negative signals because there is no hope that the cost of living is going to come down, courtesy of the policies of the Kenya Kwanza regime. The most regrettable thing is that the Kenya Kwanza regime does not care about its people. And when people were given a chance in last year, August, to vote their leaders, some people voted in William Ruto with a lot of hopes. And now that hope is diminishing. I remember there were friends who affirmed that William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua were God sent. And they believed that William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua were men of God because they endeared themselves to people through the churches, Episcopal churches. Today I have gone back to my friends who used to praise this regime. And most of them are telling me that they didn't vote. That is now the excuse. Because they are crying out, crying for. And when I get back to them, they tell me, sisi hatukupiga kura. Why? Because they feel the shame that this is the government that they put in place. And it's very clear that there is a lot of regrets. There is a lot of undertones. There are those people are grappling and saying this is the worst regime that we've ever had. Yet others have now found the courage. They are gathering the courage to say it very loudly. Leaders like Mudoni or Mushamba are telling Ruto to his face that the bills that you're imposing on Kenyans, the taxes that you have so much appetite to increase, are not really good for Kenyans. And so slowly by slowly, gradually, Kenyans are beginning to see the sense. They're beginning to remove their heads from the sand. So I bumped into a video of a very serious Kenyan, a Kenyan who voted in this regime. And he says that when he saw people going to the streets, he had actually thought that it was a Luo affair. And he criticized them. He thought that they didn't have brains. Now he's saying that looking back in retrospect, he realizes that these people had seen it before, that things were getting worse by the day. And now he regrets. He is offering an apology to a certain community that he thought were only hell-bent to interfering with the peace of the Kenyans when they were going for the demonstrations. And he's calling upon other people to join him and to join Raila in the demonstrations. Just listen to this serious guy.
Wakale wenzangu, mnakumbuka wakati watu walikuwa wanafanya maandamano tukasema Wajaluo ni wajinga, Wajaluo wachatahiri, sijui nini, story mingi sana. Sasa saa hizi tumekuja tukagundua kumbe Mjaluo ako na akili kuliko sisi wote. Kwa sababu gani nasema namna hiyo? Kwa sababu vitu inaonekana na hata ukitembea side ground, kila kitu ground inasema Ruto ameshindwa na kazi. Alafu wakati watu wakifanya maandamano, tulikuwa tunasema Mjaluo maandamano, sijui Wajaluo wamefanya nini, wajatahiri, sijui nini. Those things ni kitu ambayo hakuna kenye inasaidia. Na hata ukitahiri, wakati ukienda mbinguni, wakati skeleton yako imeoza chini, ndio inaonekana kama umetahiri. So guys, tusikuwe na hiyo ukabila ya kusema sijui ati kabila gani wajatahiri, sijui watafanya nini. Hawa watu hata kama wajatahiri, I respect them. Tulikuwa tuna criticize, wanasema sijui wajafanya nini, lakini I was the first person kutusi Wajaluo hapa hivi nikisema Wajaluo sijui ni wajinga wanaenda maandamano. Lakini saa hizi tumejua kimeturamba bwana. Saa hii kimeturamba, ndio maana tunalia saa hizi. Tunaangalia mahali penye direction inaendelea. Na Wajaluo kama nao ndio walikuwa wanafanya maandamano waliona kitambo. I support them. They have extra mind, my friend. Hata ukisema ya kwamba Mjaluo hajatahiri hajafanya namna gani, let's speak the truth. Mjaluo ako na akili kutushinda. I think he's the most educated people in this country as we speak right now. How many professors are Wajaluo? How many lecturers are Wajaluo? How many Wajaluo are working in bank? There are many. Tusiseme uongo, ni ukweli hiyo. So Wajaluo si wajinga, Wajaluo waliona kitu, walionea 18. Sisi sasa ndio imefika penal size. Tutafanya namna gani? Tulipromisiwa heaven and earth, lakini sasa hii iko wapi? Ni lazima tutembee pamoja kama Wakenya. Tuangalie. We have to create this government wafanye kazi vile inastahili.
I want you to interpret the sentiments of this Kenyan, that he's not only talking about the Luos. Of course, he was trying to apportion all this to the Luos because this is what they were made to believe. William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua had crafted a narrative that the demonstrations were only being championed by a particular group, the Luos. But you all know that all Kenyans, especially the Azimio followers from all tribes, went to the streets. But of course, the leaders had tried to wink their supporters that it was a Luo affair. Now, this guy comes from Ruto's tribe. He is a Kalenjin. And that is why he's saying my fellow Kalenjins. The sentiments of this guy are spread all over. Almost 90% of those who supported this regime, those who swallowed the lies, the bait that was spread by this regime, are now gnashing their teeth and regretting. As they say, regrets are grandchildren. They come later. Yani kwa Kiswahili, majuto ni mjukuu. Yeah. Majuto ni mjukuu. They come late. People did not take their time to scrutinize during the campaigns, to scrutinize what leaders were telling them. Because let us face the truth here, ladies and gentlemen, and I want us to have this discussion without feelings. And if we must have feelings, they have to be serious feelings, devoid of tribal hatred and affiliation. You see, we had two horses, the Azimio and the Kenya Kwanza. Both of them traversed this country and they campaigned, they offered their policies to Kenyans. The question that I want to give to Kenyans is just one. William Ruto and Raila Odinga did not come from the moon. They are politicians that we've been with together. Whether you were born just 20 years ago, William Ruto has been there. Raila has been there. And we know their history. We know who perpetuates more lies. And I want to say that there is no any human being who is impeccable. And from where I sit, I'm one person who believes that all politicians are liars. But then, let us assume that we're presented with two devils. Let's just assume so. That we had Raila Odinga and we had William Ruto. Surely, and honestly speaking, for heaven's sake, between these two people, who looked at least serious, who looked like someone who manifested the interest of Kenyans at heart? Because I'm saying this because I had heard William Ruto quoting wrong Bible verses in public without blinking. And we knew very well that there was a lie in the statements that were made by the Kenya Kwanza team. The reason I believe they were lying, they kept on blaming the previous regime. They even refused that the high cost of living was not as a result of the Russia-Ukraine war. But we still chose to give them a mandate to lead us for those who decided to vote for them. And the reason why we voted for those who voted them in is because, one, we didn't scrutinize the policies, we didn't unmask the lies. We were voting in our tribesmen. If you are Kikuyu, you are voting in a Kikuyu fella because Rigathi Gachagua was going to be the deputy president. And they celebrated all over. If you are Kalenjin, you are not voting in policies or leaders who would guide you, who will take care of your affairs. You are voting a Kalenjin. The other thing we were voting is that we were voting out Raila and Uhuru Kenyatta. And I remember immediately they were voted out, there was this hashtag back to Ishaweri. Uhuru was going to go back to Ishaweri. And then Raila was to go back to Opoda farm in Bondo. Today, as we speak, ladies and gentlemen, Raila is not in Bondo. And people are begging him so that we can go to the streets. Leave alone that. Raila came up and said that he had certain irreducible minimums and he had taken people to the streets. But then we were also told that he wanted to interfere with our businesses, those who voted in the Kenya Kwanza team. Now they have passed laws that are very unpopular. Life is going to even more unbearable because they passed the VAT on fuel products. The housing product is something that has been coerced because Kenyans spoke with one voice that we don't want to be deducted. They pretended to have reduced it to 1.5%, but now it's no longer levied, it's a tax. We will not receive that money anymore. Raila Odinga yesterday revealed, or the other day revealed, that in a day, this government borrowed about, was it 23 million Kenyan shillings? And there is no signs of hope. There is no signs of hope at the end of the tunnel because we were voting people out, we were voting some people in. We didn't realize that when you are given a chance to vote, you are exercising your democratic right. A right that is so entrenched in the Constitution. And with that opportunity, that single opportunity, because it takes a second to vote in a leader. You looked at Wajakoya, you looked at Mwaure, you looked at Raila Odinga, you looked at Ruto, and you decided to vote in William Ruto. Today, you are calling upon Raila to go back to the streets. Today, you are realizing that those who went to the streets were never stupid as you thought. We went as far as trying to going the negative way of looking at the tribes of who, and people said Wajaluni Wajinga. Those who went to the street were thought to be so stupid. Yet, we knew very well that over the world, it has been proved that leaders cannot give freedom freely, whether it is economic freedom, whether it is social freedom, political freedom. You must fight for it. It seems Raila has taken a backseat. Now they are gnashing their teeth. Rebellion will come. The epicenter of rebellion, I can assure you, will come from the Kenya Kwanza strongholds, the Central and Rift Valley. Because it is like those who voted in Raila Odinga are saying, we thought Raila would be declared, but now that it has not been declared, we have not lost anything. Na tumezoea. I have heard that narrative that wamezoea, kuteseka. Of course, we should not say that we are used to it. But now, who will lead these demonstrations? Because when you listen to, let's say, for example, there's a Mio supporters like Wajalu, they are now saying, we're not going back to the streets. They're saying, wacha kiwarambe. Yes, they're saying, let them feel. And I have a feeling that sometimes we need to learn from experience because experience is the best teacher. You're given a chance to elect leaders that you will be paying with taxpayers' money. We maintain their guzzlers, their big cars, their big offices, including the offices of their wives. You fail to understand what their wives are bringing to this country, what benefit. Now, it is time to understand that choices have got consequences. And the sentiments of our Kalenjin guy is something that is echoed among all the Kenyan tribes. From where I sit, I don't want us to reduce this thing to Wajaluo, Wakikuyu, Wakali. No. It is about those who supported Azimio and those who supported Kenya Kwanza. Wote wanalia. Do you think we have learned? Because yesterday I had William Ruto telling people that wale ambao wako na magari hawataki kulipa ushuru, hawataki wakatwe 1.5%, yet we know that it is all lies. We allowed them to cheat us. We still allow them to perpetuate the lies. We voted in our tribesmen. Now, they are not there to help us. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time we change our minds. It is time to change the way we think. Let us understand that there are only two tribes, the rich and the poor. The moment we realize that, and we decide to take the bull by its horns, so that we don't just vote in people because they are our tribesmen. We don't just vote in people because we don't want you. We don't just want you because you are Raila. You ask them Raila amefanya nini? They don't just like him. Now here we are. Uhuru has not gone back to Ichaweri. Raila has not gone back to Bondo. In fact, they live in Karen. Na maisha ni nyue. Wewe ambayo ulidanganywa, it is time. It is time to change.